again, aren't we?
Yeah, reading Peter Rabbit this morning.
We guys, we've done the Mr. Men set.
Mr. Man.
Did we do all the Thomas the Tank Engine books?
No.
We forgot them?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We need to come back to the Thomas the Tank Engine books, guys, after we read the Tales of Peter Rabbit. We got the whole set.
Good now.
How many books we got to read? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. We've got about 25 books to read of these.
Oh God.
And Amber has picked the first one for us to read. Aren't these beautiful? Now this is a famous author, Beatrix Potter, based on the original and authorised edition, The Tale of Peter Rabbit.
What number is
It hasn't got a number on it, has it?
Oh, that's a number. That's a number. There.
Where?
There.
There isn't, that's a dragonfly. You don't know what a dragonfly is?
No.
Really?
I am.
You do? What's a dragonfly?
Oh, on here.
Yes.
There.
And dragonflies, they can sting you, can't they? They've got a very sharp sting on their tail.
Yeah.
And if you ever hear...
Bumblebees.
And bumblebees. And wasps.
Yeah.
If you ever near...
And snakes.
Some snakes, yeah. If you're ever near a dragonfly, you're going to hear its wings. Because its wings are very loud. They've got like 4 wings. And they're like this, and they're very loud. You'll know when you're near a dragonfly.
And spiders. Plastic spiders.
Plastic spiders. Yeah, what about them?
With tails. Sharp tails.
Plastic spiders with sharp tails, yeah.
Yeah, and stinging ones.
Stinging ones.
Like that.
There's a bumble, look.
Look.
Oh, there's a ladybird.
Yeah.
Is this a dragonfly?
No.
And a bumblebee.
No.
And now this is a butterfly. See?
How did you do that?
Scratch myself at night. But that is a peacock butterfly, they call it. Okay. Look, there's a mouse. There's a hedgehog. There's a goose.
There's a squirrel.
What's this one?
Frog.
Yeah, it's a toad, I think. Yes, it is a frog. Good girl. Okay, clever clogs. What's this one?
Squirrel.
It's a what?
Squirrel.
It's a what?
Squirrel.
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 Look at Daddy. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Not squeal. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Not squeal. Squirrel. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Not squeal. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yes! Squirrel.
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 Squirrel. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
You gotta say it.
Squirrel.
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 Say it.
Squirrel.
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 Yes! You did it! You did it! Yeah! Can you say squirrel? No. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
No, squirrel.
No, squirrel.
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 Squid.
Not squid.
Squirrel.
Squiddle.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Squirrel. Squirrel. Squirrel. Right, you ready for the story now?
No.
Squirrel.
No.
Just what I need after my dinner. Squirrel. You're hurting me. You're hurting me. Squirrel.
Look.
Yeah, great. Leave it. Squirrel. Right, come on down.
Can you do this, Dad? Can you do this? Do your story, Len.
Gordon,
Do your story.
leave it. Thank you.
Do the story.
Excuse me, don't be rude. I can't open it.
Do that.
Oh God, those pages. Once upon a time, there were 4. You're hurting me. There were 4 little rabbits, and
1, 2, 1.
nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy,
Flopsy.
Mopsy,
Mopsy.
Cottontail,
Cottontail.
and Peter,
Peter.
and Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Not really. Not really. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a
Squirrel.
very big fir tree.
Squirrel. 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 Squirrel.
Now, my dears, said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, you may go out into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an incident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Put in a pie? What?
Mr. McGregor is so scary, isn't he?
He is. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I'm going out. Then old Miss Rabbit took a basket and an umbrella, and she went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down to the lane to gather blackberries.
Blackberry.
Blackberries? Do you know what blackberries are?
Blue.
Well, no, funnily enough, they're black.
Black.
Yeah, blackberries.
Blackberries. Black.
Now, you have raspberries. You know what raspberries are? You like raspberries.
Yeah, and I like oranges, pineapple, and pears,
Yes, you do.
and strawberries,
And strawberries. It's all good for you guys, all this fruit.
and Ollie.
And what?
Ollie.
Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie.
What's Ollie?
Ollie.
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 Ollie?
No, I like blueberries.
Oh, she likes blueberries. Yes, you do, don't you?
Yeah.
Blueberries, blackberries.
Oh no, he's in
Oh,
Mr.
but
McGregor's.
Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First he ate some lettuce and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. Do you guys know what radishes are?
radishes.
Radishes. What colour are they?
Blue.
Red.
Little.
Red and white. Radishes, they're long. A bit like a parsnip. And you bite into them and they're very crispy. They've got a white inside. They're kind of pinky as well.
Oh no, Mr. McGregor.
And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. You know what parsley is?
No.
Parsley's green. You normally put it in with potatoes and
Look, he's running away and look.
but round the end of a cucumber frame, who should meet but Mr. McGregor. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out some young cabbages, but he jumped up and he ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief! Stop!"
It's naughty and rude, isn't it?
Well, he's after him because he's eating his vegetables. Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether,
There's a
if
shoe.
he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new.
And I see something.
What did you see?
That shoe.
There's his shoe.
Oh no.
Oh no. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but also his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him with great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Now, as if you know what these words are going to mean. I don't even know what they mean. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve.
Sieve.
A sieve.
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 Good girl. Which he intended to pop on top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind.
No.
And he rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a watering can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. Oops. It's a good job he hasn't got the hiccups like me. And he tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 planters. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. This is quite... Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in the can. After a time he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all around.
Look,
He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath.
Look.
An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate. but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she couldn't answer.
Dad, Daddy.
She only shook her head at him, and Peter began to cry. Yes, darling.
Look.
Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it was best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe shreech, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and he climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeked over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow, and he started running as fast as he could go, along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him and the corner, but Peter didn't care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looking behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand of the floor of the rabbit hole and he shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what had done with all his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during that evening. His mother put him to bed and made some tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoonful to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for their supper. The end. Did you like that?
Yeah, I want to read it.
You want to read it? Oh my gosh.
It's right when the kids go.
Oh, you want to wait? Oh, we'll say goodbye then. Did you enjoy that?
Bye.
Bye. We did, didn't we? See you soon.
Bye. I'm gonna read this story after when we go.
Yeah, we're going to read it again, aren't we, darling?
Yeah, we're gonna read another story. We're gonna have a look at another Thomas's story.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.